Hi, I'm Dr. Donald Boomgaarden, President of St. Joseph's College, and I'd like to welcome you to St. Joseph's College, Living Our Mission. St. Joseph's was founded in 1916 and has a rich and deep history. We pride ourselves on the fact that our ideals and commitment to enriching the lives of students have not changed since we opened our doors, and that our students lead lives dedicated to service and helping others, much like the spirit of the college's founders, the Sisters of St. Joseph. We have two campuses, one in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn, and one in Patchogue, where students enjoy the full collegiate experience through meaningful faculty interaction, vibrant student life, commitment to leadership, and compassionate service to others. Thank you for joining us. In this program, we'll be discussing the college admissions process and sharing some helpful tips for students and parents who are getting started in the decision-making process. To speak more about this is Gigi Lamens, Vice President for Enrollment Management, and Kathleen Magistro, Director of Undergraduate Admissions at SJC Long Island. Well, Gigi and Kathleen, I'm so happy to have you with us. I mentioned the parents in my opening remarks because they're so critical in the decisions that students make about colleges and universities, and there are probably some parents and maybe grandparents watching us today as well. And one question they probably have is, what is enrollment management, and what does an enrollment manager do?
I love being an enrollment manager. As an enrollment manager, I get to work with students and their families, but I also get to work with faculty, staff, and administrators to ensure that we're providing the best possible college experience. I oversee offices such as admissions and financial aid that assist students and their parents as they navigate the initial enrollment process. But also, I am as interested in seeing that students are successful here, that they take advantage of all the incredible opportunities that we offer, and that they graduate, which is the ultimate goal. My focus as an enrollment manager is on student success. I want to see students take advantage of these wonderful years that they're going to be in college, because there's really nothing like it. And I want them to graduate successfully and move on to their futures. I like to think of my job as opening the door to possibilities of students as they consider their future and they plan for their future.
So, Gigi, you've had a long career in enrollment management, and I know that you've worked here very successfully at St. Joseph's for a long time. So you've had this conversation, I'm sure, with many parents and students. They'll come to you and they'll say, why should I go to college? How do you answer that question?
College graduates, on average, will have higher annual earnings. They will have more job opportunities. They will have more job satisfaction, job security. Also, studies reflect over and over again that college graduates are happier, healthier, and more civically engaged than students who haven't attended college. College is an investment in one's future. Clearly, in the short run, it may seem like an expensive investment, but in the long run, not going to college may be a more expensive investment.
And Kathleen, how soon should students begin to think about going to college? If you're in high school right now, let's say you're a high school sophomore or junior, is that too late, or when do you start thinking about this?
It's never too early to start the college search. Some experts say middle school is the best time, and we're so glad that many of the local middle schools have partnered to do middle school college awareness days. Definitely by sophomore year of high school, you want to have a good idea of having a college awareness mindset, cultivating that. Begin by thinking about where you might want to go, location, and start to maybe visit some colleges junior and senior year for sure.
And when students are thinking about college and what college they should go to, they probably don't understand necessarily the idea of fit, like what college fits me. So what kinds of things should they be thinking about in that area?
So they definitely should be thinking how they can fit into a college by preparing with their academics. So they want to have a college prep curriculum, thinking about some honors classes and college level courses, getting involved in extracurricular activities, and then looking at colleges that fulfill that need. They want to be considering schools that have the major that they want, that have courses that they've been interested in already in high school that they can then be taking again in college to really expand their knowledge. They want to be thinking about location for sure. Some students prefer to commute. Some students would like to be a little bit further away from home and reside in the dorms there on campus. Students would want to maybe be in a rural setting, a city setting, things like that that they're thinking about. But again, it's really important that they consider working with their school counselors and those within their network, like you said earlier, parents, to get some input about where they might fit best and how to discover that.
Are there some common mistakes that students make when they're applying for colleges?
Yes, there are. One common mistake is rushing the process. It's not planning ahead of time, it's not doing your homework, not putting the effort in, so doing everything last minute. There are an awful lot of deadlines. Another common mistake is underrating yourself, possibly not applying to a school because you feel that you're not going to be accepted or you're not going to get the financial aid that you deserve.
I think that the idea of the student understanding that when they look at the tuition of a school, that the tuition that they see on the internet advertised by the college is typically not going to be the price that they actually pay, correct?
Correct. That is the sticker price. Most of our students get financial aid, and students should be encouraged to work with their financial aid offices to maximize their financial aid. There's a lot of aid available.
And I think for many parents and students, sometimes they don't know that, and so they don't apply to schools thinking that's too expensive for me. Although in our case, I can say with confidence that this is one of the least expensive schools and one of the best bangs for the buck. We've been frequently on many national lists for that reason, because we offer a really high quality education for one of the lowest prices in New York State.
Students are often surprised by the fact that they can afford a St. Joseph's College education.
And a large number of our students have some type of financial aid, correct?
They do,
Yes, and scholarships, and it's being aware of those scholarships that are offered by the institutions that you're considering, and also thinking about those scholarships that might be offered in the external community, the Rotary Club, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and seeing what other scholarships they might qualify for, and just doing their research.
Excellent. So as we look at the landscape of enrollment management and admissions, for a student or parent looking at that, it can be very overwhelming, right? There's so many choices, so many colleges. In this area of New York State, for example, there are literally dozens of educational choices that students could make. And so when they look at our college at St. Joseph's, and you're speaking to them about St. Joseph's, what are some of the things that you mentioned to them that might be determining factors in choosing us?
Sure, definitely the mission of St. Joseph's and how we are really allowing students to discover who they are and to become the person that they are. That's the goal of the faculty and the staff and fellow students at St. Joseph's College, develop that whole person through a liberal arts curriculum and really rooted in the mission of the Sisters of St. Joseph's, that our students will answer the needs of the world.
Fantastic. And Gigi, in your experience and having a chance to see so many students and see them successfully complete their educations here and go on to wonderful careers, what kinds of things do you point out to parents and students when they arrive on campus about what's special about our approach to education?
I think what's special about us, in addition to carrying out our mission and everything that we do, is that students are at the core of everything that we do. And so anything that we do at the college, we always have the students in mind. So I think that's an important distinction for St. Joseph's College. Also, as far as parents are concerned, we want them to feel part of the community. We want them to know us, we want them to understand us, and we also know that they are helping to guide their students. So we want to keep parents as part of the process as well.
Well, I want to thank both of you for talking to me today about this. We've had a very successful run the last several years with enrollments on both campuses. We're doing very, very well as a college, and I think you two have played an important role in that, and I want to thank you.
Well, thank you, Don.
Thank you.
We have to take a quick break, but still to come, we will discuss another important aspect of admissions process, financial aid. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to St. Joseph's College, Living Our Mission. Thank you for joining us. In this program, we will be discussing common myths about financial aid and how to afford a college education. We're proud to offer one of the lowest tuition rates of colleges in the region, and we hope this show will provide you with some important tips about financing your education at St. Joseph's. To speak more about this is Amy Thompson, Director of Financial Aid, and Gordon Rowe, Coordinator of Data Operations for SJC's Long Island Office of Financial Aid. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you,
Thank
Don.
you.
So happy to have you with us. This is a very important topic for the parents and the students that are watching the program and grandparents. They want to know a little bit about how expensive will it be to go to college. There's a lot of stories about college debt and how difficult it is to overcome that debt. And I know at St. Joseph's College we have an excellent record because students who come to us frequently receive financial aid, and the sticker price they pay here is considerably lower even than our advertised tuition rate, which is already one of the lowest in the state. So we are an affordable college that delivers a high quality education. But in the preface there, I mentioned the idea of myths. Amy, what are some of the myths about funding a college education?
I think one of the biggest myths that I hear over and over again from parents is that they shouldn't even bother to apply for financial aid because they're concerned that they earn too much money and they won't actually qualify for anything. So what I do when I go out into high schools in the local area and I speak to parents and students, I always recommend that no matter what, even if you think you're not going to qualify for anything, to go through the application process with each college or university that you're interested in. Oftentimes people are actually surprised that they do qualify for something, even if it's not perhaps from the federal or state government. There may be an institutional grant or an institutional scholarship that they may qualify for. So we always recommend that they complete the FAFSA, any applicable state applications, and anything else that the college or university is asking for.
Now, you used a term of art there. What is a FAFSA?
So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. That is the main application for financial aid that the federal government puts out. It is a free form. It does not cost anything to complete, and it is available online at www.fafsa.gov, and it comes out October 1st every year.
And if a student or parent is trying to fill out some of this information, can they call St. Joseph's and ask questions about it?
Absolutely. Part of what we do in the financial aid office at St. Joseph's is we help prospective students and our current students through the process. So even though the FAFSA is not super complex anymore and it can be completed online, sometimes people do need some help with that, and we offer that assistance here.
Now, Gordon, I know that you also go out along with Amy and speak to high schools. You speak with counselors, you speak with students and parents. Are there certain myths that you encounter that you try to dispel as well?
Absolutely. Amy just touched on it a little bit. There is an impression that the FAFSA is very difficult to complete. And while historically that might have been true, the U.S. Department of Education has done a really good job in the last several years of paring the FAFSA down to its essentials, making it a much more accessible and easy to understand form for families to complete.
So in a sense, both of you are trying to demystify a process which may seem intimidating the first time you take a look at it, especially if this is the first time you've tried to send a child through college. You're not really sure where to start. Now, Amy, typically when we offer a package to a student of scholarship, what kind of aid is involved in such a package?
So we will take everything that the student completes for us. We will look at their FAFSA application. We will also look at their New York State financial aid applications. And we try to put everything in the financial aid offer that the student is eligible for, whether that be grants from the federal government, grants from the state government. We will also include any of our merit-based scholarships that our admissions office has awarded based on the student's performance in high school. And then we do also package some institutional need-based grants as well. Sometimes our packages can also contain what we call a work-study offer, which would be a job on campus, and the student can earn money throughout their education. And we do also package the federal student loans that students are eligible for. So it's a very comprehensive package that includes everything that the student is eligible for.
So there can even be an opportunity for some experiential learning then, if they can do a work-study type of project.
Absolutely. Actually, studies show that students who do work on campus actually retain at higher rates than students who do not. And I think that's because of the experiential process, and they get to make connections on campus, and they do various duties and tasks throughout the campus, and they get to know staff members and faculty alike.
Gordon, when students apply to St. Joseph's, we of course have first-year students, but we also have transfer students. Do they have any unique or special issues that they must face as they're applying for financial aid?
Well, the application process does vary somewhat from school to school, so it depends on what college they are transferring in from. We're lucky here in that the size of our population allows us to offer a little bit more of a concierge service to our prospective students. So we can assist them in filling out the FAFSA, assist them in filling out the state, New York State financial aid applications if they are transferring in from out of state.
As students look at a school like St. Joseph's and other schools in this area, and they're asking these questions about affordability and price, there are, of course, other institutions in the state which may offer slightly lower prices, at least their tuition might look lower, and yet we seem to do very well against these types of schools. Why is that?
Well, tuition is only one half of the story. That's another myth about financial aid, is that the sticker price is what every student pays, and that's not true. A student would have to apply for financial aid and see what the college, what the Department of Ed offers them as direct grant or scholarship discounts to that tuition, to really get a sense of what the net price would be at each college that they're interested in. And that would be what they would use to compare the different schools financially, see which one's the best value.
When we look at a school like St. Joseph's, we also have many scholarship opportunities which we offer as a college. Can you describe some of those?
Sure. We have some merit-based opportunities, so whether you're coming in directly from a high school as a first-time freshman, or you're transferring in maybe from a two-year community college, we do offer scholarships based on your achievements at either your high school or your previous institution of higher education. They really range anywhere from about $5,000 or $6,000 per year, all the way up to almost full tuition, depending on your achievements and kind of where you fall in that landscape. And then again, in addition to that, we do offer need-based grants. So when you complete your FAFSA, we will take a look at your family income, your overall family size, the expected family contribution that is calculated from the FAFSA, and we'll determine if you have what's called financial need, and we may be able to meet a little bit of that need with a need-based grant that's not based on your merit or your achievements in high school or previous college.
When students receive financial aid, let's say they come in as a first-year student, let's say their situation changes in their second year, are these types of things adjusted easily by us?
Absolutely. So you do have to apply for financial aid every single academic year. So that means if your income changes or something in your family changes, that is being accounted for. But fortunately, as financial aid professionals, we also have the authority granted to us by the Department of Education to perform what are called professional judgments. So that means if something drastically changes, even during the academic year, from what was reported on your FAFSA, we can collect documentation and go in and change that scenario to make it a more realistic portrayal of your family's ability to pay.
What advice would you give to parents who have children that are nearing college age, who are interested in applying for these types of grants, scholarships, and the various type of aid? How can they best prepare, let's say if they have a student that's maybe in their first year of high school?
Well, I think there's lots of things they can do. Even beyond first year of high school, I say families with younger children should start saving as soon as they possibly can, anything they can. They may want to look into opening what are called state-sponsored 529 plans or things of that nature to help with college savings. But as the student gets a little further on in their high school career and they're actually starting to do the search and selection process for their colleges and universities, what they can really do is make sure they do their research and their homework. We don't make this process any easier on people generally in financial aid because every school does things a little bit differently. So you really have to investigate the colleges that you're interested in to find out what their process is, when they would like you to apply, and what types of aid programs they offer to their students, because that will vary from school to school.
Are there certain things that parents and students who successfully navigate this process do that you see that are striking, that stand out?
One good technique that a lot of families who have successfully completed the FAFSA, successfully navigated the college search process, is starting early. Like Amy said, doing their homework. There are numerous tools out there that are available for those families. One particularly good one is the net price calculator. So any college that participates in the federal financial aid program has to offer a net price calculator on their website, which gives a good estimation of what that family is going to be eligible for in terms of financial aid.
And that's something that they could easily find on our website and fill out on their own?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think it's such a great topic because St. Joseph's is a school that has done really well in this area. We make sure our students, when they leave us, do not have huge debt. But also we emphasize the fact that you do get what you pay for. In other words, we offer a quality education. And it's important for parents as they're looking around at schools to understand that it's the same thing as when you buy a car or an appliance. You can get the cheapest, but sometimes the cheapest isn't the best. What we offer is high quality education for quite a low price, but also with a lot of support for students in terms of financial aid. Amy, I know that this next topic is a rather controversial one. There are lots of reports about the fact that students are graduating from college, or perhaps not even graduating, but are assuming a huge amount of debt. Can you talk a little bit about that and also talk about the average debt for a St. Joseph's College student?
So yes, we do see that is another one of the myths out there about financial aid. As we know, college has become more expensive over the last few decades. And I think there's this perception that you can't get a college degree without coming out with somewhere near $100,000 in student loan debt, which in fact that's actually not the case. Only about 5% of student borrowers who had outstanding loan debt in 2017 were over the 100,000 mark, and most of them had pursued much more advanced degrees than a bachelor's degree. In that same year, about 57% of borrowers with an outstanding student loan debt actually owed less than $20,000. So that's a much more manageable number when you're thinking about a four-year degree. And I think what people have to keep in mind as well, even if you have to borrow a little bit in the federal student loan programs to get through a two-year degree or a four-year degree, the studies show that students with degrees earn more than students without degrees over time. But I think we're somewhere in the 28,000 range.
That sounds about right.
For a four-year degree. Some obviously graduate with a lot less, some graduate with more. And I think it's just important for students to be really mindful, students and families. You do want to borrow wisely. You want to think about the career that you're going to go into and think about what your potential earnings are going to be before you start taking on large amounts of debts. There are also loan calculators that students can use where they can project out what their monthly payments are going to be after they graduate. So that's a helpful tool as well.
So we're not really saying that there's no such thing as student debt. There certainly is, but perhaps the reports are exaggerated somewhat for purposes of drama by our colleagues in the news media.
I think you could say that. And again, if you can get through a four-year degree or a two-year degree without taking on student loans, that's fantastic. But if the only way you can get yourself through a college degree is by borrowing a little bit in the student loan programs, I think it's pretty safe to say that you're making a good investment in yourself.
Now, both of you have had a chance also to talk to students that have graduated and moved on. Do you have many stories of students that come back and are thankful for the work that you've done to help them get their education?
Generally, we do have a lot of happy customers. We have a lot of parents and students who leave and they thank us for making the process simple for them. We actually go even beyond helping our current students and prospective students, where if alumni come back and have questions about their loan repayment, or they want to go on to graduate school and can they get their loans deferred and what do they need to do, we will gladly help them through that process. So we do sometimes get thanks and we love that, but often we kind of just do our job because we know it's the right thing to do. So.
Well, many times we find out many years later. We'll get a letter or we'll get a note from someone that we've helped. That's one of the curious things about our jobs, is that at the age that we're helping them frequently, they're not quite ready to understand what's being done, but then as they move on, they're very grateful for what St. Joseph's was able to do to them. And I'm so grateful for the work that you've been doing so consistently for us to give us these wonderful results. Financing a college education is a critical and important aspect of any parent or student's activity. And I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for watching St. Joseph's College Living Our Mission. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you.